Literature virtual class. So, today for your virtual class we shall be dealing with our drama, and that is Merchant of Venice, and we have, since we have already begun with the play, we have completed Act 1 Scene 1 where we were introduced to two major characters, namely Antonio and Bassanio, where through Bassanio we overheard their conversation. We hear their conversation where Bassanio talks about Portia, another major character. And in this scene that we shall be dealing with today, that is Act 1 Scene 2, we shall be directly coming in contact with Portia. And in fact, we have discussed the initial few lines of the scene wherein, and from that discussion we have already come to know that Portia was in a very distressful condition. She was very sad, she was not very happy, she was frustrated. Why? She was sad because she was bound by the will of her father. She could not deny nor could she choose her suitor, her love of her life partner as per her own accord. For she had been bound by her father's will, who upon his deathbed had framed a will according to which she would be married by only that person who would choose the correct casket. Alright? And Nerissa, on the other hand, her confidant, she is there to comfort her distress, to comfort her frustration, and comforts her by telling her that, that her father was a wise man, and since he was a wise man, definitely he had on purpose framed this will so that she does not fall into the wrong hands. Yet, in spite of Nerissa's comforting words, yet she still fears, she still carries this fear that the scheme that has been schemed by her father through this will land her in the wrong hands, in the hand of a person, the one who would make her life miserable. That is what she believes. And thereafter, Nerissa and Portia, they start discussing about those various suitors who have already dawned at her court. So now let us move ahead from that section, and that is starting line number 45 from your textbook, page number 58. So here we go. Please see, Nerissa. First, there is the Neapolitan prince. So the first prince that they discuss about is Neapolitan prince, the Prince of Naples. So let's see what she has to say about the Neapolitan prince. Portia says, "Aye, that's called indeed. Called is a young horse." And she compares him to a young horse in a very metaphorical manner. And why? Why does she say so? For he does nothing but talk of his horse, and he makes it a great appropriation to his own good parts that he can shew him himself. So the reason why she describes and metaphorically compares him to a colt is because all he does is talk about his horse. He takes great pride in his horse, and even more greater pride upon his very act of being able to show his horse himself, which he boasts about as if it was something that he had achieved in his life, something big that he had achieved in his life, as if it was a great merit and a great honor. So, in this manner, she mocks Neapolitan prince. Alright? And then there is the next suitor that we discussed there, they discuss about is Count Palatine. Count Palatine. So, what does she say about Count Palatine? Count Palatine, he had nothing but frown. This man, all he does is frown. As who should say, and you will not have me choose. He hears merry tales and smiles not. I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher. And this man, Count Palatine, he frowns most of the time, and he frowns to such an extent as if to say say that, even if you do not wish to marry me, God, go with it. Just damn with it. I don't care. So, from her description, what idea we get about Count Palatine according to the perspective of Portia, who seems to dislike him, who seems to object his behavior, is that he does not, according to Portia, he does not make any polite speeches, nor is he very civil in his disposition. Alright, so she believes that this man, Count Palatine, he frowns to such an extent that he will perpetually look sad. And she compares this man to a weeping philosopher. She says, I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher when he grows old. So, if at such a young age he frowns so much, God forbid, I fear, Portia says. Portia says that she fears that this man, when he grows old, he will definitely be no different. He will be a second weeping philosopher. So, regarding weeping philosopher, there is a story as in who this weeping philosopher was. So, there was a philosopher by the name Heraclitus. Heraclitus, who came to be known as a weeping philosopher. The reason why he was named as a weeping philosopher was, what happened was, Heraclitus, he ran away from the world, from the society of man, and he went all alone. He escaped all alone to the mountains, and there he wept throughout his life till he died. It's a mythology, no doubt. He kept weeping because he was so distressed by the stupidity of men, by the follies of men. So that was how Heraclitus, the philosopher, gained the name weeping philosopher. And Count Palatine Portia says that if he continues to remain sad, if he continues to remain in such a grave state, even at such young age, then when he grows old, he will definitely be no different from Heraclitus. In fact, he will be the second Heraclitus, the weeping philosopher. So, I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher when he grows old, being so full of unmannerly sadness in his youth. Unmannerly means unpleasant. I'd rather be married to a death's head with a bone in his mouth than to either of these. God defend me from these two. So here we clearly see how she hated, how she despised these two suitors. The two suitors, namely the Neapolitan prince, who was a colt, no different from a colt. Okay, and the second suitor being Count Palatine, who frowned so exceedingly that when he would grow old, he would definitely become the second Heraclitus, the weeping philosopher. And she says, she wishes that I'd rather get married to a death's head. Now, what is a death's head? You have seen probably on the electric post, especially, commonly seen around, where there is a sign with the picture, with an image of a skull and two crosses, and the bones that have crossed just beneath the skull, isn't it? So that's the sign of the death's head. That's the death's head. So Portia says that rather than getting married with these two fellows, I'd rather get myself married to death's head. Then Nerissa further asks, how say you by the French Lord Monsieur Le Bon? So now the next suitor that we talk about is Monsieur Le Bon. Okay? Yes. Portia and therefore let him pass for a man. Let him pass for a man. Since God made him, so let him be accepted as a man. Otherwise, he can't be even deemed fit to be regarded as a man. In truth, I know it is a sin to be a mocker. I know what I am doing right now. I am very conscious of my act right now. I am mocking all these people, all these suitors, and I know by doing so, by mocking at them, I am making a sin. I'm doing a sin. But I cannot help myself but to mock this fellow, that is Monsieur Le Bon, the French lord. Why he had a horse better than Neapolitans, a better bad habit of frowning than Count Palatine's. He is every man in no man. So, please underline, before I move ahead with the explanation, please underline, he is every man in no man. Alright, please underline that. So, what he says is, the reason why she detests Monsieur Le Bon so much, this French lord so much, that this man, he seems to be carrying various different superficial characteristics inside him. But when it comes to his own single character, own single substantial character, he had none. He did not have any. Alright, so that's why she calls him as every man in no man, a person having characteristics of all those various men. Like, for example, he has Monsieur Le Bon also has the habit of Neapolitan, who only talks about his horse. Monsieur Le Bon also has the characteristics of Count Palatine, who keeps frowning. Only that Monsieur Le Bon, the French lord, he talks about his horse more than Neapolitan prince, and he frowns more than Count Palatine. So that's why he is regarded as a person who has no substantial character, and that's why she hates him. He seems to be somebody who cannot be relied upon. Then what happens? He is every man and no man. If a throstle sing, he falls straight a capering. See, now other characteristics that are also there in him is that whenever Monsieur Le Bon would hear a throstle is a bird that is found commonly in England. It's actually a thrush. Alright, so out here she has which is also called as throstle. If a throstle sing, whenever he would hear the throstle singing out in the garden, what he would land up doing? He falls straight a capering. He would jump up and down at the tune of the music sung by the throstle. See how strange on the part of this French lord. If a throstle sing, he's ran straight a capering. He will fence with his own shadows. And not just that, even more strange is his other characteristics that is there in him, and that is he starts dwelling, fighting with his own shadow. So what we see is that it seems that Monsieur Le Bon's, the French lord's character is such wherein his mood fluctuates one after the other, minute by minute, thereby making him a very unreliable man. Therefore, he is every man in no man, wherein he has characteristics of every man, but does not carry one single substantial one of his own. Alright, so if I should marry him, I should marry 20 husbands. It is equivalent to marrying 20 different husbands. If he would despise me, I would forgive him and marry. And so from here also we get to know that she is, although she directly does not mention that, but definitely she does through these words, we get an idea that if she has to marry a sorry and I will forgive him. I feel sorry for him and I will forgive him. For if he loves me to madness, I shall never requite him. I shall never be able to return back his love because I hate him. That is exactly what she is trying to say through all her words, her description of her very sharp, sarcastic words of intelligence that she has in a very clever manner she has described, which clearly shows that she objects their characteristics, she dislikes them, she detests them. And then what happens? See, Nerissa, what say you then of Falconbridge, the young Baron of England, and the fourth one is Baron of England. So we talk about the fourth suitor, who is the Baron of England. Alright? So what about him? She inquires, Nerissa, and Portia says, you know, I say nothing to him. You know, so far I haven't exchanged a word with him. Why? For he understands me not, nor I him. He hath neither Latin, French, nor Italian. So it seems that she had not been able to exchange any word with the English Lord Baron of England because he neither knew any of the foreign languages nor did Portia know the Baron of England's language, and that is English. Neither of them knew each other's language. So, and you will come into the court and swear that I have poor penny worth in English, and you know, Nerissa, how poor my English language is. And since my English language is so poor, definitely it has failed me to initiate any conversation with the Baron of England. He is a proper man's picture, but alas, who can converse with a dumb show? So the dumb show here is a pantomime. And what is a pantomime? A pantomime is an act that takes place without words, only by gestures. Alright, so she says that, you know, alas, how can I ever marry a person like him, like Baron of England, who does not know any of the foreign languages, like the Latin, French, or Italian? Because if I were to marry him, it would be like a life where I would lead my entire life in a pantomime. Alright, where she would have to talk with him by gestures. Then, out here, when she says this, see, before I move ahead, I would also like you all to underline the line that is there in line 76. Nor I him, after nor I him, had neither Latin, French, nor Italian. And out here, when she says this, when she complains about Baron of England not knowing any of these foreign languages, she is actually criticizing and mocking the ignorance of the Englishmen's knowledge regarding foreign language, which they had none, as exhibited by Baron of England. Alright, so please kindly write that down at the side, okay? Let's see. Then what happens is how oddly he is suited. Now, as soon as Portia has criticized his behavior, the behavior of Baron of England, she now she diverts her attention towards the way he dresses up, the way the Baron of England, Falconbridge, he dresses up. She says how oddly he is suited. She mocks at his peculiar way of dressing. I think he brought his doublet in Italy. Doublet is it's like a coat, you know, which yes. How oddly he is suited. I think he bought his doublet in Italy. His round hose, like the trousers with bloomers, you know. In France, his bonnet, that is the cap with a feather on it, which you tie beneath your chin. Yes, under your chin. Yes, his bonnet in Germany and his behavior everywhere. So out here once again, she is being sarcastic with regards to the strange dressing sense of the English Lord Falconbridge, Baron of England. And out here, Shakespeare, through the mouth of Portia, is actually criticizing the behavior and the manner of the English lords, Englishmen, especially all the Englishmen, who ape the manner and the behavior and the culture of all the other foreign continents and countries, in order to show that they had traveled all those continents. Alright, that was what these people, they used to do. But what do we see out here? Though they might have succeeded in traveling all those continents, but they have failed and they have remained ignorant towards the foreign languages. And that is exactly what is being mocked by Portia. In fact, in reality, it has been mocked by Shakespeare through the mouth of Portia out here, where we are shown the kind of Englishmen that existed during the Elizabethan society, during the Elizabethan time. So, Nerissa, what think you of the Scottish lord, his neighbour? His neighbour. Now, whose neighbour are we talking about? The neighbour of the Baron of England. So, we talk about now Scottish lord. Now we shall be talking about the Scottish lord who happens to be the neighbour of Baron of England, the English lord. What idea, what view do you have about Scottish lord, his neighbour? And Portia says that he had a neighbourly charity in him. This man, she now again begins mocking at the manner and the behavior of the Scottish lord. She says that he had a neighbourly charity in him, for he borrowed a box of the ear of the Englishman and swore he would pay him back again when he was able. So she says that although she tries to sweet talk regarding Scottish lord by saying that, that Scottish lord, he was insulted by the English lord. And how did the English lord insult him? The English lord happened to box him on his ears. He was boxed by the English lord. And, but the Scottish lord would not return the box. Why? Because of neighbourly love, which Portia describes it as neighbourly love, which in reality she is describing about the Scottish lord in a very sarcastic manner. Because in reality, not because of neighbourly love. It was not because of neighbourly love that Scottish lord did not return the box to the Englishman, the insult that he received from the Englishman, but because the Scottish lord was a coward. That is exactly what Portia meant to describe him as. So, but she sarcastically, sweetly describes him as somebody who, out of neighbourly love, did not return back the insult of the English lord. And so what did he do? He received the box, he received the insult, accepted it, but one thing that he did say is that, one thing that he did make sure at that point of time is that he said that, Scottish lord said that definitely one day, someday when he gets a chance, he will definitely return back the insult that he had been pounded upon by the Baron of England. So see, she meant actually he was a coward. So I think the Frenchman became his surety and sealed under for another. So it seems that it was not only the Scottish lord who received humiliation and insult from the hands of Baron of England, but also the French They were allies and they were having a cold war against the English people, against England. And out here, by showing Shakespeare, by showing Monsieur Libon representing France and Scottish Lord representing Scots, the Scots, by showing these two as cowards in front of Baron of England, Shakespeare is actually trying to create an impression. He's trying to win the favor of his English audience during that time, so that his work would win favor from the English audience. Where that was the reason why he chose Baron of England, representing England as someone who is bold, fearless, and courageous, while he represents the Scottish Lord, the Scots, and the French as people who are cowards. Alright, so that was the reason why he represents them as so in reality. So anyway, now let's move back. Nerissa, how like you, the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew? So the next suitor that they landed discussing about is German Lord, who is the nephew of Duke of Saxony. So now this is the sixth suitor that we are talking about, the German Lord. Okay? So Portia says, very vilely in the morning, very bad. This man is very bad in the morning when he is sober, and most vilely and still worse in the afternoon when he is drunk. So it seems that the German Lord, he was a drunkard. Okay, he was a drunkard by habit, by nature, and this man, when he is sober when he is in his senses in the morning, he is less than a man. He is very bad, you know. And just imagine this man when he is drunk, he is still worse, says Portia. When he is drunk, when he is best, that is, when he is sober, he is a little worse than a man, and when he is worst, he is little better than a beast. And when this man is sober, he is less than a man, and when he is drunk, he is worse than a beast. He is a complete drunkard. And if the worst fall that ever fell, I hope that I shall make shift to go without him. And out here, what she says is, she expresses her worry regarding this man, a drunkard like the German Lord, what if he lands up choosing the right casket? So that is exactly what she feels out here, which for the first time she expresses out here openly.